So, you're a young car enthusiast and bring a trailer, and the used car market as a whole has driven most sports and enthusiast cars out of your price range. What remains? Well, lucky for you, C5 Corvettes haven't faced the nostalgia wave yet, and they don't have the performance of newer Corvettes. So, a base 1998 Chevrolet Corvette it is. So this particular car comes with a little bit of a backstory. In my first video of 2022, I covered a Ford Fiesta ST and proudly stated that this was a benchmark car. The owner, Noah, was just so smitten with the car that he was convinced that he would have it for a long time. Well, just a couple of weeks after the video was made, used car lot super mega store Carvana called him up and offered him $5,000 over what he paid for it, and it was such a stupid deal he had to let it go. So he began the search for a new daily and stumbled upon this 1998 Chevrolet Corvette on AutoTrader for a decent price. It's a base model with a stick and has just a touch over 50,000 miles. It was a two-owner car and has spent most of its life indoors. So he wandered over to Victory Chevrolet in West Charlotte and was able to walk out the door for a fine $12,500. Considering that he was paid $19,000 for the Fiesta, that wasn't a bad deal at all. So now Noah is a Corvette man. He does intend on living the best Corvette man life, with the plan on getting some sweet New Balances for his outings in the vet. He plans on updating the headlights, replacing the stock shifter with a short throw one, and replacing the clutch due to its age. The rest is mostly TLC. The shifter is in dire need of something, as the stock one's detents are junked and it feels like you're shifting through a tub of old mayonnaise. He's bypassed the stock skip shift feature with an $8 plug-in kit, and he does intend on replacing the busted factory seats with some Corbeau ones. Again, just some TLC to really bring out this now 24-year-old sports car. Anyways, the C5 Corvette came out when I was just 4 years old. I don't really have any memories or nostalgia for these cars, as they really weren't on my radar as a kid. My grandfather had a 1966 Stingray convertible that I thought was the absolute coolest thing in the world. And C4s were coming off a 12-year product cycle that, while initially moved the bar forward for the American sports car, it had become as stale as the loaf of bread I bought a couple weeks back and forgot about on top of the fridge. So, I was far too young to truly appreciate what a leap forward that the C5 was back in the day. Compared to the ancient car it replaced, the C5 was a truly modern marvel. Once again, the Corvette was the attainable dream for the middle class, and it had the performance and the period tech to really take on the global powers again. By the time I was a teen and paying attention to cars closely, the C6 had come out and had taken up my brain palace of what a Corvette should be. To me, the C5 was simply the lesser version of that car. But now that I am approaching 30 and run a small YouTube channel where I get a small taste of cars, I can now say that I've sat behind the wheel of both a base model C6 and C5. I drove the C6 last winter, and that car didn't really leave an impression on me. It was certainly a nice car, and it drove well on country roads when you gave it the beans, but unfortunately, that car just didn't leave an impression on me. It was a car that you looked down and would be shocked at the speeds you were carrying on a back road, but the problem was that it just didn't give me that fizzy feeling you would expect out of the American sports car. The C5, despite being a much older car, did. As Noah explained on our drive, it had the eagerness that his old 5th generation Camaro lacked. Yes, the shifter sucks, but it's still a stick, and the torque from the 5.7-liter LS1 V8 throws you back in the seat when you hammer on it and slam through the gears. Yeah, interior space is tighter, and the interior itself is straight up 90s GM, but the C5 has a charm that the C6 simply lacked for me. Charm. Charm can go a long way for a car. Sure, the C6 may be the superior product in every aspect, but the C5 has the edge on charm. It's certainly aged better than the C6, with it being the final vet with pop-up headlights and its arguably cleaner nose. I'd much rather sit in a 90s GM interior than an aughts one. Yeah, it's arguably not good in the grand sense of car interiors, but I do feel a bit of nostalgia for my mom's 99 Tahoe or my grandfather's CK Chevy truck when I see the head unit, and when I put my hands on the stock controls. I don't know. The C5's interior just feels like a tighter package, even with the horrible little cup holder and the shifter of a truck. The clutch is easy to use, and the LS is quick to spin the rear wheels when you ask it to. Again, this C5 gave me that little fizzy feeling that the C6 failed to give. Gripes? There are a few, but I'm willing to overlook them as they don't completely ruin the car for me. Once again, the shifter is absolutely atrocious. The Tremec T56 is a fine transmission, and itself it shifts fine. But the detents on this shifter are beyond worn out, and you've often find yourself wondering what gear you're exactly in. Neutral is even a struggle as the shifter doesn't slide into the center easily as it should. As mentioned before, Noah is replacing the shifter with a short throw one, which replaces the detents and the springs, so that will be a huge help for this car overall. The other major complaint is the horrific seats. They're not only cramped for a larger individual like myself, but they're completely worn out despite the low miles on this car. The previous owner, who was 70 years old, traded into Victory because he was starting to have problems getting in and out. I could tell, as the left side rib support has been completely worn down to the metal and the leather is worn through. But that's not the worst part. The latches on the sliders are broken, so the seats don't lock into place anymore. Without grabbing the lever in the back and the headrest to flip it forward, you could move the top of the seat forward a few inches. And the seat physically moves when you get in or out, meaning that it gives you this unsettling feeling of sliding forward a few inches when you slam on the brakes. Again, this will be remedied with some Corbeau seats in the near future, but not something you would expect out of a sports car with a touch over 50,000 miles. Anyways, this particular car, despite its small flaws, was kept in great condition. It lived inside of a garage for most of its life, and it still has a lot of the original documents in the trunk. Heck, not only is the original dealer tag still with it, but the original Goodyear tire warranty documents are in there, and there's still the complete sticker in the door from the factory. Most of these are peeled off when they get to the dealership. Noah also believes that the original owner never removed the target top, as itself is about 30 pounds, and there's this nice layer of dirt that's obviously been there for a few years. And unlike a lot of 90s GM products, almost all of the buttons look brand new other than the fan speed. On these 90s GM cars, fingers will most certainly rub the paint over time. To see that mostly intact, it's pretty remarkable. Finally, the interior doesn't exactly rattle like you expect on a 24-year-old Chevrolet. It wasn't until we pulled the target top off for the drive that stuff started to rattle here and there. It wasn't that bad, almost impressive. Usually the entire dash on these 90s GM cars are scraping together in agony, but not on this vet. 1998 Chevrolet Corvette Base. The fifth iteration of the American sports car. The Boomermobile. The Hawaiian shirt wearing New Balance Corvette Man car. You probably see these all the time at Cars and Coffee, and yeah, they're easily attainable and they're not too bad on price. And like I said before, as I sit back and think about my experience with a base C6, a base C5 is truly a better experience in my opinion. It just feels eager, ready to go. The C6 is just fast and doesn't really give you any feeling of that James May fizziness that he described on that one episode of Top Gear. C5 Corvette. For when everything else on the used car market is way overpriced, you can always get into one of these cars at a reasonable price. They have their floor, and you can jump right in. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you once again for watching another episode of Wookie Drives. This week's episode comes courtesy of Noah of Belmont, North Carolina. You've seen a couple of Noah's cars on the channel before. This is his latest daily driver, so thank you once again for letting me drive your week-old purchase in this video. Huge shout out to him. If you have a car or truck you'd like to see on the show and happen to be in the Charlotte, Mooresville, Chandler area of North Carolina, feel free to email me at wookiedrives@gmail.com. That is wookiedrives@gmail.com. Submit your car to wookiedrives@gmail.com. Thank you. Be sure to follow the official Facebook page for channel updates. Follow my Twitter and Instagram for rants, raves, and overall Wookie shenanigans. There is a TikTok page now for just random short videos that I don't feel fit the big channel as a whole. Finally, be sure to give the video a like, drop a comment with some feedback. Any feedback is good feedback. It just helps me help build my craft, and just the interaction helps this little channel grow as well. Also, be sure to share with all your C5 Corvette Man friends, and hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications if you want to see more Wookie Drives like these. I try to keep a normal schedule of every 2 weeks, but obviously I've been pretty busy in the last month and a half. I changed jobs, so it's been a transition. But once again, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.
Satellite just located another test site.
Ein Problem.
Da haben wir ein Problem hier. We don't know what it is.
Non è possibile.
Get him down here.
Talk to me.
Road testing, Stuttgart, monitor 6. Lateral G's .93.
What?
Speed.
Miles per hour, 150.
Pushing in 500%.
Pushing in 500%.
Speed 160 and climbing.
What the hell is going on?
We're tracking them.
Enhance that.
Speed 170, still climbing.
Does anybody have any idea what this is?
I do.
Well,
It's the next vet.
get me one.